During this last year or so, I have read so many books on relationships, and in this year of a pursuit to hopefully mending some heartbreak that I had around relationships, whether it was stories that I was telling about myself or solely based on how I was treated in previous relationships, there is one crucial thing that I have learned that I want to share with all of you guys, and it is the simple concept of the sunken cost fallacy. Now, if you guys are in the sphere of like business, you probably have heard of this concept before, but essentially to open this up to everyone, regardless of what your occupation is, sunken cost fallacy is if something is not worthy of putting the time, energy, and money into based on how the future of that thing is going to perform, it is not worth investing. And that might seem like a very loaded definition, but I'm going to try and put this into a tangible example. The best way that I can describe it is a Netflix show. And I got this from the book How to Not Die Alone by Logan Ury. Amazing author, amazing book. I don't think I've ever laughed so much at a sciencey book regarding relationships. So if this is something that piques your interest, I'm definitely going to put the book in the description of my video. Love it. This way that she described this concept was a Netflix show. Imagine you are watching a show on Netflix. It has 6 seasons in total. Watch the very first 2 seasons from front to back and you are like, oh my god, this show is seriously the best thing I've ever watched. Like, it's binge worthy. You like some of the cast members, the plot has all these crazy twists and turns, and you are always left by the end of each episode wanting more. Now, what if I told you get to the very beginning of season 3 and one of your favorite characters dies, and all of a sudden the setting changes? Is not that interesting. Getting bored, and by the time you finish each episode, you're already thinking about the next thing you need to do. You're not interested in putting your time into the show anymore because it's not giving you the same value that it did. Now, what if this was in the case of a relationship? The first 6 months you have with your partner are the best. You're learning so much about each other, about each other's culture, values, beliefs. You're learning so much about this person, about how much you have in common. Maybe you share similar music tastes. Maybe you travel to similar places. And then all of a sudden, beginning of the 7th month, that's rocky. They cheat on you. You are burdened with insurmountable pain. This pain is not something that the English language will ever be able to verbalize. Are you choosing to stay based on the 6 months that were great, or are you choosing to let it go because this person has completely betrayed you? Everyone is going to have a completely different answer based on the Netflix analogy and based on the relationship analogy. Now, why is this? All of us have our own unique way of prioritizing time and forgiveness. So many of us that have been stuck in, relationships that have lasted for years where it has not gotten better. So with the sunken cost fallacy, it is a risk because you risk not playing that story out to the very end. Because I decided to not watch that show because season 3 was terrible. I'm not going to know what happens. But for the sake of my peace, that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make. I brought cheating up because this is something, in my opinion, that is not forgivable. In relationships, we hurt. Some people may say, oh, well, that's love. That's part of love. It's a part of relationships. Relationships feel heavenly and blissful just as much as they feel painful. Sometimes we even grieve through them. Everything in life has its ups and downs, even things that we enjoy, even hobbies that we look forward to come home to and do. Those will have their down days too. There is nothing in this world that will guarantee you 100% happiness 100% of the time. Then this is when you factor in the repetition of how much something has happened to help you make your decision on whether this is worth bringing forward into the future. The one thing about time is that it cannot be bought. You can change your environment around, you can fix your sleep pattern, build good habits, free up more time, but you cannot buy more time. You're fully aware, but you can't get back the time that is now behind you. So what I will say is, Don't trip about what's behind you. Let it be part of factoring in what relationships are worth keeping in your life and which ones aren't. If you argue with your partner about the same thing over and over and over again, no matter what happens, no matter if one of you is better at communicating than the other person doesn't step up from that. If you're not able to meet in the middle, if there is nothing, absolutely nothing that can be done, what do you think is going to happen? Things don't magically get better if there is no evidence of it getting better. And nothing changes if you don't change anything. Sunken cost fallacy, once I learned it, it's like the elephant in the room for me now. Very aware of how precious my time is, and I simply refuse to waste it. Why would you? So many beautiful people on the inside and on the outside that have so much to offer you. Why pour into someone who doesn't care if you're going to do well or not? Why would you pour into someone who doesn't want to see you do well, who is threatened by either your success that exists right now or your potential for it? How many of us go into relationships insecure? Romantic ones, whether they're platonic. Step back from all of these. Reflect on yourself as a person. I know this is difficult. It's difficult to tear those walls down of ego, to truly ask yourself, what hurts me? What triggers me? Because sometimes, not even them, sometimes it's us. Relationships are a dual-sided coin. One of us are heads, one of us are tails. We both play a very important part in each other's self-development, in our motivation, and in our aspirations. Take this knowledge with you as you go on with your life. Prioritize accordingly. Remember, take reign of your own life.